Hachette Audio presents Skull Session, Mastering the Mental Game in Sports, Work, and Life. Written by Scott Cochran with Ivan Mizell. Read by Scott Cochran. To my wife, Sissy, and our children, Bo, Savannah, and Lucy, your love and support motivate me to stay strong in my sobriety. And to all the players I've coached, I learned more from you than I ever could have taught you. Chapter 1, Skull Session. When I left the University of Alabama in January 2020, after 13 seasons as a head strength coach, conditioning coach, and motivational master for Crimson Tide football, I had 6 national championship rings, enough celebrity to be doing regional TV ads, and an alter ego, Coach Yeah. I went through conditioning work yelling, yeah, 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 at epic decibel levels, cheering up my players, getting them psyched enough to perform at skill levels they didn't know they could reach. I also had a huge chemical dependency. I was hooked on oxycodone, Oxy for short, and Adderall. I had been hooked for almost 8 years. I had hidden my addiction from everyone. Head coach Nick Saban, trainer Jeff Allen, who was and is like a brother to me, the other coaches on the staff. I had hidden it from my wife, Sissy, whom I fell in love with pretty much the moment she walked into my weight room. I hid it from my friend Steve Sarkisian, now the head coach at Texas, when he worked at Alabama in 2016 and in 2019. Steve is in recovery himself, and he never suspected a thing. I left Alabama to work for my close friend Kirby Smart, the head coach at Georgia. Kirby worked for Coach Saban for 11 years. Kirby and I were tight. Our wives were tight. Our children were close. Kirby didn't know about my addiction either. 3 months after I changed jobs, it was just another Friday morning in Tuscaloosa. Well, not just another. For one thing, it was April 10, 2020. Good Friday, for those of you looking for a greater meaning. For another, we were a month into COVID-19 pandemic lockdowns, which is why I had returned to Tuscaloosa from my new job in Athens. Once the coaches couldn't go into the office, it made more sense for me and Sissy and our 3 kids to hunker down in the house we hadn't sold yet. And, oh yeah, one more thing. That's the morning that my addiction tried to kill me. And damn near did. I left Alabama to go work for Kirby because I wanted to get out of the weight room. I wanted to be a coach on the field. At least, that's the story that got out in the public, and I didn't try to correct it. The real reason I left Alabama is that I thought a change of venue would help me stop taking Oxy. I had all these people around me getting me the pills I needed. Maybe if I left, I wouldn't have access. And I could stop. That's called running from your addiction, and it's about as effective as it sounds. My addiction ran right alongside me. It turned out that there are people in Georgia who have pills, too. Like a lot of people suddenly working from home, I proclaimed the kids' upstairs playroom as my workspace. We had a computer in there, so I could have Zoom meetings with the Georgia coaching staff in there without being disrupted by whatever was going on in the house. I moved a big living room chair in there to make it feel more like an office, the girls' dolls notwithstanding. On this particular morning, our girls, Savannah and Lucy, were outside, and our son, Bo, was in the basement. Toward the end of my time at Alabama, someone gave me an Opana, which is oxycodone mixed with morphine. When my body discovered Opana, my body no longer needed all of those Oxy pills. I was awesome all day long until I wasn't. Then I wanted more Opana, too. I got a prescription for Opana. I filled it on the 16th of the month. Here it was, April 10th, 6 days short of when I should have been out of pills, and I was out of pills. I called one of my guys that I always got pills from. That sounds so much more innocent than my dealer. And he said, I can't get you anything. The only thing I can get you is from a guy that I don't trust. Yeah, right. Like an addict is going to hear that. I don't give a damn, I said. I'm sick. I need something. You've got to get this for me. I will pay double. My guy tried. Again. I'm telling you, dude, I don't trust this guy, he said. It's got to be something bad. My addiction wouldn't take no for an answer. I went to the ATM, got some cash, met my guy, and got the pills, which were counterfeit oxycodone, with a side order of fentanyl, a drug even more dangerous than oxy. The next morning, Good Friday, I had a Zoom meeting with the Atlanta Falcons special team staff. I prepared a speedball. I chopped up 3 30-milligram pills of oxy, mixed in 1 Adderall, and snorted the 4 together. I remember the meeting. I killed it. We had a good meeting. And then Sissy brought me back from the dead. You could see into the playroom from the stairs, and how lucky that I had not closed the playroom door. Sissy happened to walk upstairs with a basket of laundry, looked in, and saw me slumped in my big chair. She raced in and tried to straighten me up. I was sweating profusely and turning blue. She started yelling for Bo to help her, and she and I both thanked God he didn't hear her. No 13-year-old should see a parent overdosing. Sissy called 911, and she talked to the operator. She lifted my head and kept trying to pull me back against the chair. I regained consciousness, sort of. Sissy described it as if I were coming out of surgery. I was conscious, but in la-la land, not making any sense, and my breathing was labored. I stood, still sweating up a storm, and made it to the shower. Sissy ended the 911 call and called James Robinson, the Alabama team doctor. He couldn't make sense out of it. He's blue? Like he isn't breathing? He asked. Dr. Robinson wasn't in his office that day, but Brett Bentley was. Sissy got me dressed and drove me over to the student center. I got in there and they could barely find a pulse, so they hooked me up to oxygen. Dr. Bentley showed Sissy some Narcan and said, I think he's taken something. I don't know what it is. Sissy called a neighbor and asked her to go upstairs to see if she could find any pill bottles. She went in there and found the pills and flushed them down the toilet. Dr. Bentley began to talk to Sissy about rehab facilities. I don't recommend you keeping him home over the weekend, Dr. Bentley told her. And then, almost as an aside, he said, this is not going to be easy. Dr. Bentley was right about that. It was hell. I mean, absolute hell. You know, you don't become the dominant program in the nation without drawing on resilience. Our teams at Alabama proved that they knew how to come back. Never more so than in the national championship game at the end of the 2017 season. That's the one where Georgia mauled us in the first half, jumping to a 13-0 lead. Coach Saban benched quarterback Jalen Hurts in the second half and put freshman Tua Tagovailoa on the field. Tua brought us back from 2 touchdowns behind and won in overtime with the iconic 41-yard touchdown pass to classmate Devontae Smith. I know something about comebacks. I have been to a rehab facility 3 times. 1 visit, 100-day stay that really changed my life. Over and above the physical difficulty of withdrawal, I had to deal with being away from my family for such a long time. From the time our children were born, I had never been in a situation where I couldn't go home to them. I had that voice in my head, asking if I could really stay sober. I leaned on my experience of leading young people toward a goal. Under Coach Saban and under Kirby, we coached our players to perform their job, not to worry about the results. We taught them not to look at the scoreboard. Look at your opponent lined up in front of you. That is your task. That mindset is exactly what you have to learn in rehab. You can't worry about never taking another pill for the rest of your life. You have to focus on not taking.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?